games, great moments on NBC.
First down, the big rookie spins out of the pack. Look at this run by Hayward! Ironhead all the way for a touchdown. Kosar, long ball, it's going to go for a touchdown. The game's over. Webster Slaughter.
Deep man for Miami. He had a 42-yard kickoff return the last time. From the 2. 20, he's in the open again. 30, 40, he's going to go all the way for a touchdown. 98 yards, Colton Walker.
Hi, everybody. Bob Costas along with Ahmad Rashad and Gail Gardner. Here's some of what's happening today in the game many of you will see in about half an hour. Steve Berline takes over once again at quarterback for the Raiders as the inconsistent Jay Schrader heads for the sidelines. Also in L.A. today, Bo Jackson, who picked up 45 yards on 2 carries before a hamstring injury sidelined him for the remainder of last week's game in New Orleans, will play today as the Raiders host the Chiefs. Now, speaking of running backs, that brings us to the subject of Eric Dickerson. Dickerson will attend tomorrow night's Halloween party in the Hoosier Dome dressed as an Indianapolis Colt as his team hosts the Broncos. He'll be celebrating the anniversary of the trade that sent him from the Rams to the Colts. Jim Gray broke that story concerning the Dickerson deal last year, and yesterday he once again caught up with Eric Dickerson. Jim?
Thanks, Bob. A year ago, Eric, when the Rams traded you here to Indianapolis, do you feel it was the Rams' intent to try and damage or severely ruin your career by trading you to the Colts?
I think so. I think they want to try to teach me a lesson, send me to a place that I would not like, and I would probably struggle the rest of my career, which I think it backfired in their face.
Mm-hmm. Are you still bitter with that trade?
No, I'm not bitter at all. I think the trade was the best thing for myself and the team, to be honest.
Are you bothered that Jim Everett has made some comments to the effect that the Rams are now a blue-collar team and better off without Eric?
No, I'm not bitter about that at all. You know, Jim is a fine quarterback, I give him that. But Jim, by no means, is a friend of mine. He never was a friend of mine. It's just business. I mean, if he feels like that, you know, it's just how you feel.
Greg Bell also made the comment, who took your place now with the Rams, that Eric has to learn that anybody can run behind this line.
Now, that little dwarf should learn one thing. He is not in my caliber, to be honest. If Greg Bell came here, if I went back to the Rams, he would sit on the bench behind me the rest of his career. If I get hurt, then he would come in, and only then would he come in to play.
Mm-hmm. Eric, you've only played for 2 coaches in your collegiate and professional career, Ron Meyer and John Robinson. Do you respect Ron Meyer?
Of course I respect Ron Meyer.
Do you respect John Robinson?
I respect John Robinson, too.
Do you like John Robinson?
I like him. If you want to know this question here, who do I have more feelings for? I have more feelings for Ron Meyer, of course. I mean, even if I didn't play for John, if I did play for him, it would always be like that. It shall always be like that. If both of them were out in a lake drowning, I would save Coach Meyer.
Just let John drown.
John's on his own.
I think that pretty well says that. The Colts really haven't done too well this season. A lot of people have predicted that the Colts would win their division and be in the playoffs, yet you're 3-5 and struggling. What's wrong?
I think overconfidence was one thing. We played some opponents that were very tough right up front. I mean, and it cost us because we made a lot of mistakes we shouldn't have made.
Mm-hmm. Are you the best running back in professional football right now?
Yes, I think I am.
Are you the best running back to ever play professional football?
I can't make that statement. My career is not over yet.
If your career ended today, would you make that statement?
Of course I would, because I think I'm the best in my career ended today because I have the stats to prove it.
Appreciate your candor. Thanks for joining us, Eric.
Welcome.
Let's go back to our studios in New York. Bob?
All right, Jim. Well, the young man believes in himself, although other precincts are yet to be heard from. What about the supporters of Jimmy Brown or Walter Payton or Gale Sayers or O.J. Simpson? They might disagree.
That's right. And on another note about John Robinson, he was my coach in college. He's a great football coach. Most running backs like him, and I hate to disappoint Eric, but I know for a fact that Robbie can swim.
Which is a good thing, because apparently if he's floundering around there in the lake, Eric isn't rushing to the deck of the ship to toss him a line.
That's true.
All right, let's talk about the premier game of the day, at least in the AFC, one we're going to take a look at a bit later in the show. The Browns and the Bengals are now in the fourth quarter, with the Browns leading this one 20-13, and the defenses and special teams really have made the impact, more than Esiason and Kozar so far.
Bobby, that's really the mark of good teams. They win games any way they can. It may not be the offense that takes the load of the defense, but some kind of way they're going to get some points on the board and try to win. And that's when you know that the team is really a playoff contending team, when they can find some way to win a football game. The Browns went in there knowing that if they lost, they'd be 3 games out, so they're playing like their season is on the line in their head right now.
Yeah, the best they can hope for if they lose this game is a wild card, but they can move to within one of the Bengals if they win it, up by a touchdown at 20-13 about midway through the fourth quarter. Tell you what I mean about defense and special teams. David Fulcher, the monster safety for the Bengals, has a 16-yard interception return for a touchdown off of Kozar, and Herman Fontenot, the little wide receiver for the Browns, has had a big day, running a kickoff back 84 yards to set up 1 Cleveland touchdown, and then after a Bengal punt was blocked by Minifield, it was recovered in the end zone by Fontenot for another touchdown. So the Browns in front 20-13. Quickly elsewhere, Morton Anderson just nailed a field goal at the Superdome. It brings the Saints, who are riding a 7-game winning streak, to within 2 of the Rams. The Rams come in at 6-2, and they lead 12-10 with about 4 minutes to play in that one. The Patriots are in front of the Bears. This one is late in the third quarter. They've gone to the fourth now, I see. 23-7. Jim McMahon suffers a strained right knee in the second quarter, misses the rest of the game, replaced first by Tom Zach. He was ineffective. Then Harbaugh comes in. But the story of the day in a positive sense, Doug Flutie. 3 touchdown passes against his former Bear teammates, including an 80-yarder to Irving Fryer. Occasional snow flurries in Buffalo, and the Bills are in front of Green Bay 21-0 in the fourth quarter. Buffalo about to go to 8-1. The Jets lead Pittsburgh, close one at the Meadowlands. This one is 17-13 in favor of the Jets in the fourth. Dallas, after a scoreless first half, a 10-3 lead at home fourth quarter against Phoenix. Miami leads Tampa Bay 17-0. They got 17 points in the third quarter after a scoreless first half. 2 Dan Marino touchdown passes there. Gail?
Joe Ferguson starting instead of Vinny Testaverde. They haven't been able to generate much offense, but they are driving right now. And we should also say that the protection continues to be very good for Dan Marino. Hasn't been sacked yet today. No sacks allowed by the Miami Dolphins front line the last 4 games. And in fact, the last 6 years, they've led the league in that category.
And of course, for most of that period of time, they've had the guy that many people believe is the league's premier center in Stevenson,
right,
and he's out for the whole season. And I'm sure there was a period of adjustment there as they tried to protect Marino in Stevenson's absence. All right, quickly, one more score to give you. We don't even have to do it that quickly. I'll do it in leisurely fashion. Atlanta leads Philadelphia 20-10 in the fourth quarter. The Falcons almost upset the Giants last week, and they might be winning at Philly today. We'll be back.
NFL Live is brought to you by Volkswagen. Experience German engineering the Volkswagen way. And by MCI. Let us show you how much better a long-distance company can be.
Live, you probably saw the word this week that henceforth the National Football League will treat steroid use the same way as it treats the use of cocaine if they detect it in NFL players. The same penalties will apply. So let's turn to our group here and get some thoughts, beginning with Ahmad.
I think it's a good ruling because what players worry about is somebody getting the edge in competition, and some guys psychologically think that, God, I can't compete against this guy because he's bigger and stronger than me because he's taking steroids, so that in turn forces them to take steroids just to compete. And now that they have this ruling, at least a guy can go in and know that the guy he's competing against doesn't have any edge because he's taking the steroids.
How much steroid use did you see around the league when you played?
You don't see it at all, but it's always strange when you see a linebacker that may leave at the end of the season at 210 pounds and come back in the spring at 265 pounds. That you start thinking, how has this happened so quickly?
Did players at the so-called skill positions, receivers, backs, cornerbacks, did they ever use it, or was it just the bigger players?
I think maybe some cornerbacks and wide receivers may have used steroids, but I think it's predominantly those linemen, the guys that have to get down and battle each other just right nose to nose for an entire game. I think that's where the use is more prevalent.
Gail, you've been following this story, too.
It's interesting because the dangers of anabolic steroids are well documented, and yet we're still having a battle that's going on here. It seems to me that if the league is really serious about cleaning it up, what we have to do is have unannounced drug testing so that people are not stopping cycles just in time to be clean. They're not using masking agents. And, Bob, there was a very, I don't know another word for it, horrible story going around the league these last 2 weeks that one of the clubs, prior to the testing in the preseason, one of the NFL clubs flew in a doctor to catheterize some of the players to drain their bladders out and replace the urine with clean urine. And this has been going around and has been pretty much confirmed and brought to the attention of the league. So we're talking some very strange things going on.
You say pretty much confirmed. So after viewing this, someone from the league office you don't anticipate is going to jump up and say, I don't know where Gail got this. That's the most outrageous thing I ever heard.
Well, there have been some public statements about it, one coming from Bill Walsh, that this story is one that he has heard about, and he has publicly talked about it. It appeared in the San Francisco Chronicle and in a number of papers throughout the country, is being investigated.
Paul McGuire is standing by at the Meadowlands. He's working the Steelers-Jets game with Marv Albert. Paul, your thoughts on this?
Bobby, I don't understand one thing. If the league office, they're going to ban them next year, why don't they do them now? When I read in the paper about ex-athletes or athletes that are competing in weightlifting, bodybuilding, that have taken steroids and it's going to be the cause of their death, that's reason enough to ban them right now and not wait until next year. And I totally agree with Ahmad when he's talking about players. Don't let the other guy get one up on me. I've got to do things to compete. And the most important thing is the money that the players are making. They have to be able to compete in order to make that kind of money. And my problem with this is waiting for one more year, and the guys that are taking steroids now are going to continue to take them until next year or until that time before they're going to be tested. Random testing has got to be implemented here, and just get rid of steroids now and not wait till next year.
All right, Paul, but Ahmad, as you know, there's a problem with that, and that is imposing testing and imposing a set of rules is a question for collective bargaining. And if you don't get the cooperation of the Players Association, you can't just arbitrarily say we're going to start this right now.
It's a tough situation. Another thing they're trying to do is trying to educate these athletes what could happen to them, the side effects, what could happen to them 20 years from now. But when you're dealing with the psychology of an athlete that's 22 years old, he's in the best shape of his life, the guy can run all day long, he doesn't think about the side effects or what could happen to him 20 years down the line. It's a now sport, and they're doing things that affect them right now. That's the problem.
All right, needless to say, a complicated subject. We'll treat it again in the weeks ahead on NFL Live, using medical experts at various times as we try and get a grasp on the emerging steroid issue in the National Football League. When we come back, a subject of pure joy, a big football game, one with plenty of flavor and character. Coming up, Ahmad Rashad reports on the Battle of Ohio.
I went back to Ohio.
Boomer's ready. He's got the Bengals at 7-1, and Bernie's back. Big blowout coming up in Cleveland. All right, folks, here we are, week 9. The early trends have been established, and now we get to the point where we start thinking about big games, and do we ever have a big one today in Ohio?
That's right. This is the backstretch. You know that before the season starts, each and every player looks at the schedule, and immediately they can tell the difference between the games that are just another day at the office and the ones that are special. Well, today's Browns versus the Bengals, that's something special. The hottest tickets in the NFL this week are in Cleveland. The Browns against those fast-charging Cincinnati Bengals.
Anytime you play a division rival like Cincinnati, it's a big game, and I think it's put added meaning being that we're 2 games down.
People around here just totally dislike the Cleveland Browns, and it's much the same when we go up to Cleveland. They just hate the Bengals.
When Cleveland came to Cincinnati earlier this season, it was the Bengals who came out on top 24-17. But the loss by Cleveland was without their star quarterback, Bernie Kosar. Last week, he came off injury reserve and led the Browns to a victory over the Cardinals. Bernie Kosar's back.
Well, Bernie's back and your team's in trouble. Hey la, Bernie's back. Take a good look, 'cause 19's in the huddle. Hey la, Bernie's back. Hey, he knows that you've been waiting.
And certainly his return has elevated the level of enthusiasm on our team because he is, you know, the field general, as it were.
Cincinnati has its own field general in Boomer Esiason. He not only leads the AFC in passing, but he also leads an offense that's #1 in the league. Today's game between Cincinnati and Cleveland is a legitimate big game. See, the Bengals realize that the road to the Super Bowl goes right through Cleveland. And even though they have a great record, the only way they can establish the fact that they are a great team is if they beat Cleveland. On the other hand, the Browns are the past champions, and they realize that the way they reinforce this fact is they beat Cincinnati. If they do that, the race goes on. If they lose, well,
a loss would almost put us in a position where we have to start fighting for a wild card. A win will give us the hope that we still could win the division, because one more loss by Cincinnati would put us right where we belong, right in first place.
The Bengals are 7-1. The Browns are 5-3. Today, two young quarterbacks lead their teams to battle. It has all the makings of the big game. This is a showdown.
This is it. Make no mistake where you are. This is it. Your back's to the corner. This is it. Don't be a fool anymore. This is it. The waiting is over.
I've been in this game now 20 years, and I can only probably think of maybe a dozen times where I've been involved in a game like that, where you don't sleep well on Saturday night with anticipation of the game starting.
This is it. No one can tell what the future is. Your back's to the corner. This is it.
The fact that they got Bernie Kosar in last week, found out that he has recovered, that he is going to be able to play well for him, is a breath of fresh air. The uncertainty's gone now for them. But they know that this is a crucial game in terms of cutting into our lead.
To a football player, there's no bigger thrill than to be on a championship caliber team and to be one of the best and have everybody know it. You get a little cocky, and the thing that you notice more than anything is the way championship teams walk. They automatically have a little more bounce than normal. They have what is called the winner's strut, because that's exactly what they are, winners. But lo and behold, there always comes a challenge. This time, it comes from a team that has the attitude that says, yes, you were the best last year, and yes, you were the champions. But that was last year. This is this year. We're the team to beat. And they have a legitimate point. Their record is 7-1. They beat the Browns the last time they played. And on top of that, it is now the Bengals that have that confident winner's strut. Today, it's time to put up or shut up. Cleveland Browns against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a classic matchup. And, Bob, if I hear anybody else tell me about Bernie Kosar being awkward, you know what that's like saying? That's like saying Larry Bird shoots funny.
Yeah, he wings them out there sidearm, but
they get there.
Hey, the points are on the scoreboard. I'll tell you one thing that Bernie leads the league in, besides some passing stats: most pop songs adapted to fit his heroics. Last year it was what? Bernie, Bernie, oh how you can throw.
There's
and now
three of them out there now.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Bernie's back, and you're going to be sorry? So I guess they're saying if they were the Bengals, they'd take a permanent vacation.
That's right.
It's obscure reference to the Angels, 1963.
Right.
I understand
Speaking
you
of
picked,
obscure,
right,
yeah.
you picked the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl, but you had an ulterior motive.
I have a vested interest in Boomer, and I think I need to tell this, which is that, yeah, don't make faces. When he was at the University of Maryland, when he was a junior at the University of Maryland, I worked at a Baltimore television station, and Boomer was my intern. And he would come in at night and watch games, log games, and cut highlights, and so that was it.
And did you crack the whip, make him do your bidding?
I did. He came on time. He did very good work, and it's paying off now.
Well, obviously the seeds of victory were sown in those early days.
That must be it.
Fascinating tales of life in the National Football League. Back with more, if you can stand it, right after that. So, even when Paul McGuire is not with us in the studio, he still gets to weigh in with his selections, and maybe it's a good thing that he isn't here, because since he picked the 49ers over Ahmad's Vikings, a bitter dispute would undoubtedly ensue.
I can't believe, Paul, he never ceases to amaze me every week.
You think the Vikes will handle the Steve Young led Niners?
I just said that Paul amazes me every week.
In a general way. Well, at halftime, Frank DeFord will enlighten and amaze us with his story of the origin of the forward pass. It's an anniversary, 75 years exactly, huh?
Exactly 75 years ago Tuesday, and it's all the more symbolic
because Notre Dame played in it, and Notre Dame is now back on top for the first time in many years. And that's the kind of ball they played with at that time. Anybody can catch this ball, big round ball like this.
Yeah, but who could throw it? I mean, this thing is almost round, and it weighs about 6 tons. Gail, want to try it out?
No problem.
Ooh, ooh, not bad. Good hands.
That was the game ball at the Yale Harvard in 1909.
Yeah. Outstanding. We'll roll it.
That music in the background, folks, as you've come to learn, means goodbye. See you at halftime. Enjoy the game.
What we have to do. As I see it, San Diego has to make a defensive move today, and that boils down to 3 players, 3 keynote players. The first one, number 99, Lee Williams, defensive end for the Chargers. He's got to have a great performance today. He's already had 6 sacks this season. He has to continue to apply pressure to the quarterback today, to the Seahawks quarterback, to make things happen. Number 2, Billy Ray Smith, number 54, defensive captain, defensive leader. He's been very active with his team, promoting and training camp and talking things about this season coming to a head and bringing something very positive. He's been out for 3 weeks with a lower leg injury, but is back 100% healthy today. And last but not least, Vincey Glenn, number 25, been something of a defensive leader himself in Smith's absence, led the team last week with 11 tackles. If these 3 guys can perform today the way they have in the past, I think we have a good football game on our hands.
And there's a change in the offensive line. Chris Godfrey starts for Brian Millard, who's down with bad ribs for Seattle.
Well, Seattle has 2 players that are suffering from bad rib situation, Brian Millard and Ron Matz. And with Chris Godfrey coming in,
The National Broadcasting Company presents the National Football League. Today from the Kingdome, it's the San Diego Chargers versus the Seattle Seahawks. Brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Mazda Cars and Trucks, including the all-new Mazda MPV. And by Apple Computer, giving you the power to be your best in home, school, and business.
The Kingdome in Seattle sold out as usual for a Seattle home Sunday afternoon football game, and they'll try and pull their Seahawks through with a rousing effort today. Jim Donovan and Larry Zonka with you for Sunday number 9 of the NFL. Both teams trying to get hot and win the Western Division, and both are doing it with new quarterbacks. For San Diego, a veteran. For Seattle, it's a rookie. So 2 different stories.
well, let's start with Mark Malone. He's been brought back to San Diego for an 8th-round pick. Said to be a sometimes performer despite carrying the Steelers into the playoffs in '84 and '85. Steeler fans complained that he couldn't win the big ones. Came to San Diego and was called on against Miami and answered with the best offensive stats this year. On the other side of the ball, we have Kelly Stouffer, rookie quarterback that was to be cast into a backup role for some time, but due to an injury to Craig and poor play by Kemp, has become the starter for the Seahawks.
So we're all set to go. San Diego has won the toss, and they will decide to receive the football. The kickoff from Norm Johnson of the Seattle Seahawks. They start a series now of 3 consecutive home games, and this kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Seattle 4-4, San Diego 2-6. And there is Norm Johnson ready to kick it away as we get set for this afternoon's Sunday number 9 in the NFL. Kick coming up kept short. Anthony Miller, the rookie wide receiver, takes it for San Diego. Out to the 30, a cutback 35, and a good run back out close to the 39-yard line where a late flag comes down on the play. Tackle made by Dwayne Harper, who's a cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks on defense. But Miller, a 33-yard return. And right away, we'll get introduced to our referee for this afternoon. And there he is, number 43, Red Cashin, as he'll pick up the call right now. Looks as though it's against San Diego for an illegal block. Let's pick it up from Red. Face mask called against San Diego. So Miller took the ball at the 5-yard line and brought it all the way out to the 39.
During a run back, face mask, number 37 on the receivers. It'll be a 5-yard penalty. First down and 10.
San Diego's offense did not score in the game last week against the Indianapolis Colts. Here's the offensive lineup. Mark Malone getting the start at quarterback. They're very young at wide receiver. Miller a rookie, Early a rookie. Arthur Cox is primarily a blocking tight end. The offensive line is big but inexperienced, highlighted by a rookie out of UCLA, David Richards, who's big and strong at 310 pounds. So a penalty right off the bat, 5-yard penalty, marks them back inside the 25-yard line. First and 10 there as Mark Malone zonked 9 drop passes last week by the San Diego young wide receivers.
Well, you talk about his statistics. Anytime a quarterback suffers with his receivers dropping the ball 9 times, he's going to do some real damage to his game stats.
Gary Anderson is the lone back in the backfield as Malone sets early in motion, the rookie out of Iowa. And the pitch comes to Anderson. And a good hole out over the 25, out over the 30-yard line, up near the 34-yard line, and he'll get 9 yards in the play. Tackle made by the inside linebacker, David Wyman, as you look at Gary Anderson, who in the first game of the season between these two teams rushed for 120 yards. The front three's a good one for the Seahawks, although they didn't play well last week against Jim Everett and the Rams with no rush. Green, Nash, and Bryant. The linebackers banged up. Brian Bosworth out after having arthroscopic surgery on his left shoulder. So Darren Como gets the start, and there's the defensive backfield. Melvin Jenkins gets the start on that secondary for Seattle. Second down and 1. They go right back to Anderson, and he hits off the right side and should have a first down. Tackle made by Jacob Green, the left defensive end. He'll get 3, and Anderson will pick up the first down.
Anderson firing straight ahead, just a straight dive play. They've got a lot of confidence in him. He's missed some playing time with injury, and we spoke to the head coach, and he said that Anderson's the kind of guy that you have to play back into condition. For him to be a factor in the game, he has to work his way back into it.
Quinn Early, number 87, is down at the bottom of your screen on 1st and 10. Up at the top is Anthony Miller. 2 wideouts. Right back to Anderson on a toss play, and he gets out to the 40-yard line. Gain of 3. There's Darren Como getting the start in replacing Brian Bosworth. He's in on the tackle. Anderson was a little rusty last week when they played against Indianapolis, but then got back in there and looks very good today. It's been all Anderson so far, as San Diego has done nothing but run the football. The Seahawk defense was pushed around very badly in Anaheim last week against the Rams.
San Diego has some big people on that offensive line, and they're starting to blow off rather well.
From their own 40-yard line, it is 2nd down and 7. Early in motion. First possession of the game. Anderson gets another good hole out to the 45-yard line. 5 more yards, and it will be 3rd down and 2.
Well, you can see they're going to test Como a little bit in there. They're coming right at him. You're going to see the two offensive linemen swing around from the right of your screen to the left, turn up in the hole. Lead one taking the force man, the second one knocking on Como's door. And Anderson following the blocks well. That's something they've been working on with him this season. He's such an instinctive runner that very often he'll go to the daylight rather than following his blockers inside.
So far, Anderson has rushed the ball 4 times for 20 yards as you look at the Chargers and their 3rd down conversion ratio. 3rd down and 2. Listen to that crowd. Fumbled snap. Loose ball. Let's see who has it.
They've recovered it. They might have got the first down through recovering the fumble.
Looks like San Diego fell on it. Ken Dallafor was the man, 61, down on the bottom of the pack, as Red Cashin looks to see if he has enough for the first down. Officials timeout. They'll call in the change. 3rd down and 2. Watch Malone up at the line of scrimmage, and here's the bobbled snap.
Looks like he falls away a little early. It's as though he's got his feet in cement there for a second. Looked like the mix-up was on the exchange itself from center to quarterback.
So now we take a look at the measurement and we find out that San Diego has a first down. So Ken Delafor, he'll actually end up with a couple of yards rushing on the day. Big number 61 gets 2 yards. So it's been Anderson and now Delafor, and another first down for San Diego.
Well, over the years, I've seen a lot of power running plays on 3rd and short, but that's the first time I've ever seen the tackle gain the 2 yards for them.
278-pound Ken Delafor. Mark Malone doing exactly what Al Saunders wanted him to do, and that is run the football and move this offense. 1st and 10 from out over their own 45. First pass, and it's caught by Early. Quinn Early makes the catch. The ball inside Seattle territory down at the 45-yard line. There's a flag down on the play. The coverage was made by the strong safety Paul Moyer, and the penalty is going against San Diego.
I don't know what the penalty is, but Anderson did a good job of stepping up and taking the blitz on that last play.
Still first down.
It's a holding call, and it's on the center, Dan Rosado, and there he is. So that will wipe out that play as Early had the catch inside Seattle territory. And the penalty will mark the ball now back at the 36-yard line. Chuck Knox, and now here's the penalty.
You can't see Rosado's hold too well, but you got a good look at Anderson stepping up. Quarterback reading the blitz and getting the ball to the outside.
So it is 1st and 20 as Rod Bernstein comes in motion. 82, a blitz by the Seahawks. The pass is incomplete as Bernstein had to trap it down at the 41-yard line. On the coverage was Darren Como. There you see Bernstein, second-year man out of Texas A&M. They're trying to get him into the offense a little bit more. They do not throw a great deal to him. He is the H-back. Unlike a tight end, that's the way San Diego uses him in an H-back position.
I don't think they had anything by design that time. The rush came so hard from the inside that it forced Malone into throwing just to get rid of the ball.
There you see number 26, Lionel Little Train James into the lineup. And listen to that crowd on 2nd down and 20 for the Chargers. A draw play. This is James. And Lionel brings it out over his own 40-yard line up to the 43, where Vernon Dean and Paul Moyer make the tackle. 7 yards on the carry by James, and it will be 3rd down and long, 3rd and about 13 yards to go, and that crowd rests right now, but you know they'll be yelping in a couple of seconds.
I've never realized what an effect this crowd has on the game. I've never played here in the Dome before. It was so loud. I guess when I played against the Seahawks, it wasn't quite the same situation.
3rd down, 13. Stays right in there behind center. He does not go to a shotgun. A lot of time out of the backfield. Arthur Cox, the tight end, releases and makes the catch, but short of the first down into Seattle territory. Arthur Cox picks up 9 yards on the play. They needed 13. And so Moisienko will have to come in and punt it away for San Diego as Mark Malone had a pretty good first drive, but Larry, no points. They controlled the football with the running game, but that holding penalty really cost them dearly.
Well, that's been the situation in the past few weeks for them. Penalties have really cost them, particularly on the big play downs, just like in this series.
Ralph Moisienko has an average of 46 yards on the season. Bobby Joe Edmonds is ready to take it back. Calls for a fair catch, and at about the 12-yard line, that's where he makes the grab, and it's 1st and 10 there for Seattle. Moisienko to the sidelines, and we'll get a look at the Seattle offense when we return.
There you have Mr. Malone coming off the field. He is upset about what happened to stymie that drive. He's talking about 2 things there. Failure to keep the people out, and number 2, and the most important of all, he's talking to his offensive lineman right there about poise and not having any more penalties.
Take a look at the Seahawks starting offensive lineup with their rookie quarterback Kelly Stauffer getting set to take over the Seattle offense for the first time today. Stauffer goes with Williams and Warner in the backfield. Blades, a rookie out of Miami. Largent and Tice is the tight end. And the offensive line, and as we told you at the top of the broadcast, Godfrey in for Millard, who has bad ribs. 1st and 10 Seattle, wedged inside their own 15-yard line. No score in the game. Stauffer on 1st down. A lot of time. Incomplete. Intended for Largent out by the 30-yard line. Gil Bird was over there on the coverage along with Jeff Dale. Stauffer throwing for over 60% so far, making his 5th start for the Seahawks. San Diego's defense looks like this. The front three, Williams, Charles, Phillips. The linebackers highlighted by Billy Ray Smith. They have an injury there, and Fawcett is out with a broken neck, with a vertebrae problem in his neck. And the defensive backfield, Sammy Seal gets to start at corner, replacing Elvis Patterson. Dale is in there too for Martin Bayless. So a patch together defensive secondary for San Diego. Warner gets the carry on the pitch, and he goes out over the 15-yard line, and he goes out to the 17, a gain of 3 for Kurt Warner. On Sunday, number 9 in the NFL, Cleveland tightens it up in the AFC Central Division with a big win at home over Cincinnati. They're only 1 game back. The Rams on 4 field goals beat New Orleans 12-10, and Doug Flutie threw 4 touchdown passes today.
After all those negative things were put on the media about him, he's certainly come back swinging, hasn't he?
Boy, he knocked out Jim McMahon today. There you see the Dolphins beating Tampa Bay, and Atlanta over Philadelphia by 3. 3rd down, 7. Stauffer fires, and it's caught. Paul Scansey makes the catch out over the 25-yard line, and that's going to be a 1st down for Seattle. A gain on the play of 8 yards. They needed 7, and Scansey comes in there and makes the catch.
You're going to see it from the end zone camera here. Stauffer stands in there, very poised. You can see him from the far end here. And takes a good drop. He's got his head. He's looking around well. Sees his man and goes right for it. Passing lanes kept open by the good blocking of his offensive line.
Boy, he really zipped that ball in there. 1st and 10 out at the 25-yard line. Lone back in the backfield now is Kurt Warner. Warner rushed for over 80 yards last week against the Rams in a losing effort. Here he comes again. San Diego looks to have it snuffed out, and they do. And he's driven out by Sam Seal out at the 25-yard line. Good penetration there by the Charger defense. They had that play all trafficked up.
Well, they did a good job of stymieing it, really, but it appeared that there might have been a hole back inside. As you see the 2 off linemen pull around, there is a hole created right in the middle of your screen there. The running back would have dipped under. I guess Kurt looked a little more to the outside quickly there.
Would you say he's kind of a reading back? You know, he changes.
Well, it gets back to that instinctive thing. You're looking for daylight, not really watching how the blocking's developing.
Loss of 1 makes it 2nd down 11. Passing situation for Stauffer, and he rolls out. Throws incomplete. He was in trouble as Williams was breathing down his neck as he tried to get the ball in there to the tight end, John Spagnola. Billy Ray Smith was on the coverage.
Smith did a good job of coverage, but again, Williams is in there doing what he does best. He's applying that pressure. If he can continue to do that, like we alluded to early before the game started, it's going to change the outcome of this game.
There's a look at that big crowd in here this afternoon at the Kingdom as Kelly Stauffer brings his Seahawks out 3rd down and 11 from their own 25-yard line. 7:52 to go. 1st quarter, no score. Shotgun as he stands back at his 20 and drops the ball. Loose ball, still loose, banged around, and it's finally recovered by Grant Fiesel. How about that? That would have been a big turnover, and instead, Seattle dodges a big bullet as it wasn't a trouble with the snap. No problem with the snap. Stauffer looks as though he just dropped it.
Looked as though he mishandled the ball on the snap. He didn't look down and look it into his hands. Right there, number 75, Joe Phillips, had a chance of a lifetime. He could have scored on that one had he got his hands on it. As it turned out, it got kicked around, and then the luck of the draw put it back in Seattle's hands.
An 11-yard loss for the Seahawks as Stauffer had it hit him hip high, and then he dropped it down and fumbled it away, but it was recovered by Fiesel. Ruben Rodriguez standing just about a half yard into his own end zone, punts it away. Way back deep, Lionel James. Good punt by Rodriguez. What a great punt by Rodriguez. Of 51 yards, a 10-yard return by Lionel James. San Diego gets the ball for the 2nd time. No score here from the Kingdom. Ryan Bosworth out of action today, but on the sidelines. He had his left shoulder worked on. They went in and cleaned it up. Might be back in a couple of weeks.
I understand it was just bone spurs. He had to take it out, kind of buffed off. He's very active in the game. He's talking back and forth with some of his defensive men. He's got a great haircut, doesn't he?
Oh, very nice, yeah.
I wish I could grow hair like that.
I don't ever see that happening. Brian Bosworth, he's been having a great season up until then and playing in a lot of pain until finally he had to go in and have that work done.
I didn't have any ligament or tendon damage. It was just bone spurs, so he should be back relatively quickly.
1st and 10 out at the 45-yard line for San Diego. Another loose ball, and that one's going to go Seattle's way. Jeff Bryant has it.
Tough to tell whether it's the exchange or if he ever got the ball. No, that ball was right in his belly. Slid off. He might have gone a little wide on the exchange. Never really had a hold of it.
Jeff Bryant with the fumble recovery, and Seattle's got good field position and the football in a scoreless game.
Plays here. The Steelers hope to regain their winning ways, but can they stop the NFL's most explosive offense when they battle the Bengals?
Or the Bills, trying to win their first division title since 1980. Enter the land of the Boz to battle the Seahawks.
Before your team takes the field, our team hits the air. NFL Live.
You're looking at Tom Catlin, Seahawks defensive coordinator, and you'll notice on his left arm as we look at him that his plays are written down there, shades of Tom Matty, keeping his plays right there at hand. They have the league lead in fumble recoveries now.
1st and 10, Stauffer back to pass, trying to go and make that turnover pay into the end zone for Blades, and it's knocked away. Good defensive play by Gil Byrd, as the pass really was just a little bit short of Blades, the rookie out of Miami, down at about the 2-yard line.
Had a little too much air under it, it looked like. Byrd still made a great play on it. The good thing for the Seahawks that the Seahawks fans will like is the time that Kelly Stauffer had to stand in that pocket and throw that bomb.
There's Brian Blades, the rookie out of Miami, number 89. It will be 2nd down and 10 after the Anderson fumble, picked up by Jeff Bryant. The snap coming from the San Diego 44-yard line. Jim Donovan, Larry Zonka with you from the Kingdom in Seattle. No score with 6:42 left to go here in the first quarter. And there's John L. Williams. A good run inside the 35-yard line down to the 33. He'll pick up 10 yards and a first down.
You're going to see Ron Mattis swing out here and take on the or lead the interference for Williams. You see him on the left top side of your screen swing around. He got the down block and then leads in on a block on the linebacker, and Williams is a hard runner.
11-yard gain and a first down. Steve Largent was there with a good block too downfield. Warner and Williams, and they go back to Williams, and he'll get a couple of yards off the left side down near the 31-yard line. Joe Phillips in on the tackle, number 75, another one of those players going with that face shield in front of the face mask. And Phillips, a big player, 6'5", 275 pounds, out of SMU.
I've wondered about those face masks. I've never had one on yet. See whether you could actually see through it that clearly.
Buffalo with a big shutout over Green Bay, 28-0, as the Packers seem to have been playing better, but now they've lost 2 in a row again after losing to Washington last week. Here comes Kurt Warner, and he stays on his feet. He almost got thrown for a loss by Bensy Glenn, but turns it into a 3-yard gain, and is finally brought down by Mike Charles, the nose tackle.
Glenn has a tough time with Warner out one-on-one in the open field. Warner's a very tough man to grab a leg on. As a result of that, he got by him, and I think that Plummer ended up making the stop once Warner was off balance.
And we finish out our scoreboard check. And we are scoreless here in the Kingdom. Big play now for Seattle. 3rd down and 5. Williams in the backfield. Out of the shotgun with Stauffer, the rookie. Good time, fires, and it is complete down at the 20-yard line. Catch is made by Brian Blades. And that will be a first down for the Seahawks at the 21-yard line. A 6-yard pass play.
Kelly Stauffer again showing a lot of poise for a rookie, standing in that pocket with a great rush coming at him. As you can see, Billy Ray's coming clean there, throws the ball, and Blades does an excellent job spotting that he was going into double coverage, hooking up, coming back to the quarterback. That's what you like to see a wide receiver do.
Boy, you had to squeeze it in there between Byrd and Seal.
Had to thread the needle. He did a good job.
And he got it right in there. 1st and 10 now, deep penetration down at the 22-yard line. Spagnola comes down the line in motion. This is John L. Williams. Oh, nice cutback. He's inside the 10, down to the 7-yard line. A fine run by Williams.
We talked about Williams being a hard runner. He just showed it to you again. Williams enjoy good blocking up in front by number 28, Kurt Warner. You'll see him lead block here, getting at number 57, Keith Browner's feet, and then it's Williams after that, just taking people on.
John L. Williams early in the game, 3 rushes, 28 yards, first and goal at the 6-yard line now for the Seahawks.
Picked up 15 on that last run.
Largent is at the bottom of your screen. High formation in the backfield. Warner and tailback, and Williams, and flags fly on the snap. Boy, just what you don't need down inside the 10-yard line is a penalty against you, and we'll check out the call.
On the offense, still first down.
Yeah, it looked like the center never snapped the ball. It looked like the entire rest of the team left on 1, and he was on 2. That's got to be embarrassing.
So the 5 yards will mark them back over the 10 out to the 11-yard line, and it will be first and goal at the 11-yard line. Here's the play again.
There it is. Number 54, Grant Fiesel, is just 1 count off.
Lewis Clark is down at the bottom of your screen. 84, first appearance for him, and they're going for him in the corner of the end zone. And he makes the catch, but juggles it out of bounds, and the feet did not come down. Incomplete. Lewis Clark is defended on the play by Vince Glenn.
Lewis Clark tiptoeing down the sidelines, drew the single coverage over here at the left side of your screen. Stover turns and fires. The ball looked right. It appeared that he would come down. Oh! It appears that he did come down. As you can tell, the crowd is seeing the replay here at the same time we did.
Look at Clark. He is seething. Kelly Stauffer appears to have rolled it right into the corner of the end zone. As we take another check, here's Clark, 84. 1 foot.
Right foot down, left foot drags right there.
But does he have possession?
Well, that's the big point. It appeared to me that he did. Now, I don't know. Did you see air under that ball?
I don't know. It looked as though he had it tucked underneath his left arm, and that would be the only question. It looks as though, and it's quite evident on that replay, that the feet are down as Clark does a little headbutt with Mike Tice. And well, I think they're looking at this one right now. Chuck Knox hoping that the replay will overturn the call, but the replay official says that there was no possession.
Well, that's it. The referee at the point, the referee you can see right in the top left side of your screen is looking over. He sees the ball come loose over the shoulder there. Obviously, he made the call of no possession.
Grover Clemmers, our replay official today, and up in the box, he took a look at that replay right there, and he ruled that Lewis Clark did not have possession. They have not announced that to Red Cashin and the crowd yet.
What a finite call, though. How would you like that pressure on your back and making that decision down there?
That was the first play that Clark was into the ball game for, and they had one-on-one coverage out there on the bottom of your screen. And now the crowd gets the call that there was no possession. So it will be second down and goal from the 11-yard line. Seattle used a timeout on that play so that they could allow the officials then to regroup and take a look at that replay.
Well, as close as that call was, I can understand why.
They have 4 wide receivers in the game on second and goal. As Stauffer told the crowd, get out of my ears right now so my teammates can hear me, and John L. Williams goes inside the 10 down to the 9-yard line. A gain of 2. Tackle made by Carl Wilson and Joe Phillips. And it will be third down and goal from the 9 with 2:45 remaining here in the first quarter. No score. Seahawks got the ball back when Gary Anderson fumbled on a handoff exchange from Mark Malone. They took it from inside the 45-yard line of San Diego, went down the field, appeared to have a touchdown to Lewis Clark, but he did not have possession in the right corner of the end zone. Third and goal from the 9. A deep drop. And a fine defensive play. As coming up to make the tackle on the play was Joe Campbell, a linebacker, 95, and he got right around the ankles of John L. Williams. So it will be fourth down, and Norm Johnson will come in to kick a field goal.
We'll see. Well, we've got Largent running a pattern out in the end zone. We don't have that replay that we wanted to on the inside. Here. Everyone's covered, so you can see what's happening on the inside. Williams is the kind of the safety valve inside. Campbell did a great job of staying with him and covering him.
10 holds for Norm Johnson. The kick is up, and it is good. Norm Johnson connects on a 26-yard field goal, and Seattle jumps out to an early lead, 3-0. Probably wanted 6 points there. Instead, they'll have to settle for the field goal. Seattle's had a big problem, as you can see, getting the football into the end zone via the pass. And with the rookie quarterback, Kelly Stauffer, number 11 there, they are desperately trying to improve on that. Norm Johnson, a 26-yard field goal, kicks it away. Anthony Miller's going to run it out. Oh, boy, he's in trouble now. Can he get out of it? No. Brian Blades chased him down. And a fine special teams play. Melvin Jenkins was over there to help out with Blades. And Norm Johnson likes that. So Miller, the rookie out of Tennessee, tried to take it way wide right. And he was chased down by Blades and Melvin Jenkins.
That's a terrible temptation when you come out of that end zone and you're far, far left, especially when you're blessed with that kind of speed to take that kind of chance.
Bad field position for Malone and the Chargers inside their 10, trailing 3-0. And he gets out of it by throwing to Jamie Holland, and Holland is out over the 15 to the 17-yard line. And so that is a fine play to get them out of trouble. A 9-yard gain, and it will be 2nd down and 1. Moyer is over there on the tackle with Patrick Hunter.
Hunter's playing off of him a little bit and gave him a little room to go out and make the turn. See Malone working with the ball. He's got to be concentrating on that exchange a little bit now. He said the right receiver simply taking advantage of the situation with the back playing off.
Under a minute to go here in the first quarter. 53 seconds. 2nd down and 1. Anderson carries and is short of the 20-yard line, but he should have the first down. Nash is over there, the nose tackle. Joe Nash, a 7-year veteran out of Boston College. But there's Gary Anderson. And there's your scoreboard on Sunday, number 9. The late games. San Francisco and Minnesota scoreless. Detroit leading over the Giants 7-0. The Raiders over Kansas City out of the Coliseum 7-0.
San Francisco not starting Montana, starting Steve Young.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 20-yard line. 18 seconds to go here in the first quarter. It's Gary Anderson again. And good pursuit by the Seahawk defense. Jeff Bryant makes the tackle. He also has a fumble recovery here today, as the first quarter should wind down now with the Seahawks in the lead at the end of 1 quarter. There's the gun as the wave starts here in the Kingdom. The difference in the ball game, a 26-yard field goal by Norm Johnson. Seattle leads 3-0 over the Chargers.
Experience and maturity are critical to a team's success. We have a player who uses these qualities every time he puts on a Patriot uniform. Whether leading the offense on the field or by example from the sidelines, our team benefits from his 14 seasons of NFL experience. Grogan's experience and maturity are essential elements in the Patriots' success.
Sunday, the NFL plays here.
The Steelers hope to regain their winning ways, but can they stop the NFL's most explosive offense when they battle the Bengals?
Or the Bills, trying to win their first division title since 1980. Enter the land of the Boz to battle the Seahawks.
Before your team takes the field, our team hits the air. NFL Live.
3-0 Seattle after 1. Those are the first quarter numbers, and really, Larry, the only difference in the ball game is a fumble.
That's it. That fumble turned into 3 points. Otherwise, it's pretty even, Steven.
The fumble by Gary Anderson, recovered by Jeff Bryant. Seahawks turned it into a Norm Johnson 26-yard field goal. San Diego with the ball, 2nd down 8 from their own 22. Ball carried by Tim Spencer in there for the first time today, and Spencer goes out over the 25 to the 26-yard line. Darren Como makes the tackle. And we'll see what Como does on this play as he tackled Spencer. He's in there, remember, for Brian Bosworth.
And they're going to test him coming into the lead block on him. He avoids the blocker very well and makes the stop. I don't think he tackled Spencer necessarily on his own, but he certainly slowed him down until he could have help help him.
A shot of the Seattle sideline. It is 3rd down 4 now. San Diego out over their own 25-yard line at the 26. Malone fires for Darren Flutie, the free agent rookie out of Boston College, and it's incomplete out at the 33-yard line. And San Diego must punt again, as Malone cannot get them moving. They moved on their first possession, and Al Saunders will try and find something that's going to work here today. Early in the game, it was their running game, but now they have not been able to get that going again.
Malone had a lot of pressure on him on that last release. Just as he released the ball, the defensive linemen were laying their hands on him.
Ralph Boysienko standing at his 11-yard line. Bobby Joe Edmonds is deep. Scoops up a low snap. Edmonds at the 30. Very good special teams play there by San Diego, as Randy Kirk is down there along with Joe Campbell. Kirk's one of the best special teams players for San Diego. We'll check out Seattle as they get the ball when we return.
Today's game is brought to you by Acura Precision Crafted Performance, exclusively at your Acura dealer. By the good time, great taste of McDonald's. And by First Brands Corporation, makers of Prestone Advanced Formula Antifreeze, STP oil treatment, and new STP Supra Wear Control.
14:06 left in the first half. I'm Jim Donovan along with Larry Zonka. 3-0 Seattle leads as the Seahawks have the football on close to their own 30-yard line. Kelly Stauffer, the rookie quarterback, on first down. I formation in the backfield, Warner and Williams. And it's Warner. And he reads a hole up the middle, goes out over the 30 to the 31-yard line where the Chargers are there in great number. Lee Williams is there along with the safety 37, Jeff Dale.
The play looked like it was more designed for Warner to follow Williams to the outside and then make the cutoff of Williams' block. Evidently, Warner saw something up inside that he liked and turned it up.
A reminder to our viewers that we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the conclusion of the game. 13.5 remaining, first half. Second down 9, only a gain of 1 for Warner on that first down play. Now they'll go to John L. Williams. And a good defensive stand there by the defensive end, Joe Phillips, as he was there to meet Williams head on. A gain of 3, and it will be third down and about 6 to go for a first down for the Seahawks.
Looks like they're going to try Williams a little bit. He's showing some capabilities as far as carrying that ball in there. He runs hard, and of course he's put him in position a couple of times. I think they'll come back to him. I think he's something like 5 for 30 right now. But I think they're going to give him the ball quite a bit this game.
Up they come. Line of scrimmage now is out near the 33-yard line. Third down and 6. Stauffer throwing for Largent, but Largent got tied up by Gil Bird down at about the 45-yard line, so it's a long overthrow, and Stauffer had to look down from the turf on that play to see the completion of his pass, and it's 3 and out for the Seattle Seahawks, and they must punt it away as Ruben Rodriguez enters the lineup.
You're going to see Largent going downfield. He's got a one-on-one situation. Tried to give him a little stop and go, but the ball's just overthrown too far. I'd say that reflects a little mix-up on the timing that Stauffer hasn't had the time to work with Largent really yet.
Rodriguez boomed one out from deep in his own end zone on his first punt, 52 yards. Flutie and James are back deep for San Diego. It didn't sound good when it went off his foot, and it doesn't bounce very good either. So Rodriguez will have a vast difference on his second punt from punt number 1 as it comes out to the 34-yard line. On the punt, a 33-yard punt by Ruben Rodriguez. San Diego has it back, trailing by 3.
The NFL plays here.
The Steelers hope to regain their winning ways, but can they stop the NFL's most explosive offense when they battle the Bengals?
Or the Bills, trying to win their first division title since 1980. Enter the land of the Boz to battle the Seahawks.
Before your team takes the field, our team hits the air. NFL Live.
All right, both coaches might be saying right now, Larry, where's my offense? As there's been very little offense in this game, and very little offense in the last few weeks for both of these teams.
But San Diego's defense has been playing very well so far, I believe, and they're kind of keeping the crowd in check.
Yeah, they've got the crowd out of the game right now. If the Chargers offense could get going, they could take the lead in the football game, and they've got good field position starting out anyway. Here's Gary Anderson as he hurdles a couple of would-be tacklers out over the 35-yard line, gets 4 yards out near the 38. Tackle made by Darren Como and David Wyman, the 2 inside linebackers.
Well, he did just what you like to see a tailback do from that position. He started wide, spread the defense out a little bit, remembered how his blocking scheme was set up back to the inside, went right under and fit with his guard and stayed right up in the hole.
So when you're the visiting team, this is the way you like it right now. Listen. Sort of quiet. That's about as quiet as it gets here in the Kingdom. Second down, 6. That's early, 87, top of your screen in motion. Oh, Malone gets nailed as they tried to fake the sweep to Anderson, and it was going to be a naked bootleg, probably a pass option, and the Seahawks read that beautifully. M.L. Johnson was there. A whole bunch of blue shirts were there.
M.L. Johnson was not fooled. His job is to stay as deep as the ball on that when he's going on the dog. I'll tell you what, had Malone been able to give Anderson that ball, that fake sweep would have really gone.
So the sweep would have been the better choice there.
Absolutely. As it turned out, Malone lost 6 yards on that play.
M.L. Johnson, second sack in 4 games, as you saw. Now you've got third down at 12, and now here comes the crowd back into the game. Shotgun for Malone, and 3 wide receivers into the game. Lionel James, 26, is on his left. You better get rid of it, as the ball was knocked down by David Wyman as he was blitzing. Number 92, Wyman got in there with his right hand and knocked the ball down. And so the Chargers must punt again. There's Wyman coming off the field and gets a couple of high fives from the Boz.
What Wyman did on that was he timed his jump exactly right for the ball. When he came in, you know, if he'd have jumped too soon, the ball would have been over his head, but he timed it just right, knocked it down with both hands. Almost intercepted it.
Moisienko into punt. Inside is 20. Oh, he really rides this one deep. Bobby Joe Edmonds takes it at his 12. Out over the 25 to the 27-yard line, where it will be 1st and 10 there as Bobby Joe Edmonds. Number 30 makes the carry.
I've always had a theory that those punt returners always have to be a little crazy. You see the way he took that ball and just started upfield? It's like he's completely oblivious to the fact that people are hurling down the field as fast as they can run right at him.
A real rocket by Moisienko, as you saw, 56 yards. 13-yard return by Bobby Joe Edmonds. And 1st and 10 for Seattle, leading 3-0 at their own 27-yard line. Out they come again. 11:13 left to go in the first half. He's back to pass. Kelly Stauffer fires. Intended on the play for Tice, his tight end, and it's down on the turf. A scoop play, but not good. Incompleted pass. Jeff Dale is on the coverage for San Diego. And it's 2nd down and 10. It's those little pass plays like that that should be completions, and you take them for granted with NFL veteran quarterbacks. But with a rookie quarterback, that's a tough pass play, obviously.
Well, you can defense that from either side of this football. Malone's very aware of what it means to have 9 balls dropped, or losing those little plays like that.
Giants get a field goal, now 7-3, losing to Detroit. As we give you the scores on Sunday, number 9. 2nd down and 10. Seattle. Again, it looks as though they have trouble on their snap. And a flag goes down.
False start on the offense, number 65, still 1st down.
Edwin Bailey, the left guard, is nailed with the false start. That will cost them 5. And will be 2nd down and 15. And the Seahawks are going in the wrong direction on this drive, going backwards.
Well, that's the one area when you're back behind your own 30-yard line, you certainly don't want to make mistakes like that. Suddenly 5 yards takes on the impact of perhaps 15 or 20 on the other side of the 50.
It moves back now inside the 25 to the 23-yard line. 2nd down and 15. 2 backs in the backfield, John L. Williams and Kurt Warner. They have a screen set up for Williams. And he got a nice block there initially by Edwin Bailey, but the play was slow developing right from the very outset, and the tackle is made by Billy Ray Smith out of Arkansas.
There's a mean, ornery fella. He ran that play down. He went inside, turned around and ran it down from behind, and got a good grip on Williams. As a matter of fact, he came up and tackled Williams from behind, and Williams, unaware that he was there at the moment of impact, almost lost the football.
The play loses 2, and it's 3rd down at 17. And they continue to go in the wrong direction now from their own 21-yard line. Seattle 3rd down and a long way to go. Stauffer rolling out. And it's incomplete as it hits Lewis Clark down by his right ankle. And the crowd starts to get a little bit impatient with Kelly Stauffer and the Seattle offense.
Well, that's repetitions. He just hasn't been in that situation enough yet to have that light touch As you can see, his head coach isn't too happy about it either. Right here, Kelly has to have that light touch, and I don't know what happened there, whether it was his wrist or hand. Ended up like a wounded duck.
You know, a couple of his balls have been low so far, and that one was low again. Ruben Rodriguez standing back at his 6-yard line. Darren Flutie's the single safety back. Rodriguez rides this one out. Flutie at his own 39. It's a little crease right up the middle, and he'll get close to the 49-yard line of San Diego, where it will be 1st and 10. Darren Flutie fields a 40-yard punt by Ruben Rodriguez and runs it back 10. Let's see if the Chargers can score when we come back to the Kingdom. 10 minutes and 13 seconds left to go here in the first half. And that's what the Chargers have done so far today. Punt, fumble, which turned into the only points of the game, a Seattle field goal. Punt, punt, not good.
Well, this is their best field position yet.
Trailing 3-0 from their own 49-yard line. The Chargers with the ball. Remember, they did not score at all last week against Indianapolis. Oh, incomplete as David Wyman deflected the pass intended for Anthony Miller. Miller was open down at the Seattle 35-yard line, but David Wyman, who's having a heck of a game so far, has batted down a pass and batted down another one.
See a good pickup by Anderson here, taking a one-leg takedown. Pass was exactly where it had to be. It was just a great effort by Wyman to get to the place that he had to be to knock the ball down.
2nd down and 10. Gary Anderson, the lone back in the backfield as you look at Mark Malone. That's 87, Quinn Early in motion. Anderson. Good run, high stepping run inside the 45-yard line up near a 1st down. He'll get 9 on the play. Tackle made by Paul Moyer. From behind, Jacob Green almost had Anderson early in the play.
They're going to take Woods right out of the play here. Just a straight ahead drive block, remove him from the situation, blow him back in, and then Anderson, of course, makes the cut. But as you said, Green came very close because he shot right down the line to catching Anderson before the play developed.
3rd down and 1. Tim Spencer, blocking back, checks in for San Diego, but he's lined up the wrong side right now, so Malone straightens him out, and they must use a timeout. Little bit of confusion in the San Diego backfield. Mark Malone will walk to the sideline, talk over a 3rd down and 1 play with head coach Al Saunders. The Chargers trail 3-0.
Anniversary in the history of football. We couldn't let it pass without taking note, and for that we turn to Frank DeFord of Sports Illustrated. Frank?
Bob, 20 years ago, the Jets beat the Colts, the greatest pro football upset.
1. Let's listen to Mark Malone. And that's Barry Redden, who was activated for today's game. And he goes inside the 40-yard line down to the 39, and a 1st down for San Diego as they convert on a 3rd down conversion. There's Redden's numbers. A lot of years with the Rams, now joining the Chargers. And probably you couldn't hear Mark Malone, and probably his own offensive lineup couldn't hear him because of that 12th man, which is so present here at the Kingdom, that crowd.
Barry did a nice job of going out the back door on that play. There was a great surge at the offense at the line of scrimmage. And because of it, he couldn't get over the top, so he just backdoored it, went to the left, and made the necessary yardage.
1st and 10 inside the 40. That was the 4th 1st down of the game for San Diego. Malone passing. He can run and will. Inside the 35, down at the 31-yard line. A good decision, gain of 8. It will be 2nd down and 2 as Darren Como is in on the tackle. That's the bit of the game that Malone can really help the Charger offense with his scrambling ability and his running ability, which he still possesses.
He's not fast, but he's very mobile. And I'll show you right here. He realizes his receivers are covered well, fakes the throw, turns upfield, doesn't really go into the second base slide, trying to get the 1st down.
8:10 left here in the first half on 2nd down and 2. Here comes Gary Anderson. He'll get a 1st down and take a wicked hit from Paul Moyer.
Yeah, but he took that hit in order to get the 1st down. Number 76 swung around there, gave him a good block. Anderson stayed with it because he knew it was 3rd and short, or short yardage situation in order to get the 1st down.
And they continue on the drive now inside the 30-yard line. Wyman was also in on the tackle. Sunday number 9 in the finally tackled by the free safety Eugene Robinson as Anderson turns it into a gain inside the 30-yard line down to the 29 of 3 yards.
That's what I was talking about, his ability. Most running backs would have been stopped with that initial contact. He has that little move. It seems like the hotter he gets in a game, the more they feed him the ball, the better he gets.
3-0 Seattle in the lead, but San Diego driving deep inside Seattle territory at the 29-yard line. It is 2nd down and 6. Jacob Green jumped offside and didn't get back. Now let's see if he was drawn across.
It almost looked as if the center saw what was happening and snapped it.
Number 60 on the offense.
It was Dennis McKnight that draws him off, and that's when Green came across the line. There's McKnight. So that will cost the Chargers 5, and they've had a couple of real big penalties now. Remember that holding call on them that marched them back on one drive, and now this one, a 5-yard false start penalty called on McKnight.
Well, the other one was a little more critical. This gives them a 2nd and 11 situation where the other put them in the hole a great deal. Hopefully they can rebound from this.
3rd penalty of the game for San Diego. They've been penalized 20 yards. Mark Malone, 2nd down and 11. 6:38 remaining in the first half. He's got 3 wide receivers into the game. Lionel James, and he got tripped up. Tripped up on the play by Tony Woods, the outside linebacker, who got him down at the ankles. James then struggled down to get inside the 30-yard line at about the 26.
Well, if you remember back a few plays earlier when we ISO'd on Woods before, you saw him get blown off the ball. He decided not to have that happen again. When he saw the same play developing, he just went wild and red dogged right in there and tried to wipe out the lead blocker, thereby tripping up the running back.
It is 3rd down and long now, 3rd and 9. A good play by that man, Tony Woods. Crowd rising on this play. 3rd and 9 for San Diego. Here comes a blitz. They read it well. There's a flag down. Malone fires. The ball is caught. Dropped by Arthur Cox. It's an incompleted pass, but remember there is a flag back at the 32-yard line. Right around the line of scrimmage. Paul Moyer was blowing in on a blitz as you look at Mark Malone. There's Moyer. He was really coming, and the penalty is against San Diego.
Malone read that blitz, saw it coming early. He was trying to roll out of the pocket. You're going to see him spot Moyer coming in. He knows the blitz is coming right there. Moyer started way before the snap. And I think what you got a glimpse of was one of the offensive linemen.
65 on the offense, still 3rd down.
That's right. Number 65 grabbed Moyer by the sleeve and literally did a one-arm takedown on him in order to stop him.
That's the rookie right tackle, David Richards. There's Moyer.
Well, you can do those one-arm takedowns, but you got to do them closer to the pile. You can't be out there on your own, all by yourself with all that green around you, and do it there and not expect to get caught.
So now it's 3rd down and 19, and not only are they setting up 3rd down and long, but they're also setting up a potential very long field goal to try and tie the game up, so they need some yardage here.
You hear the crowd come up for the occasion.
Screen pass, Lionel James. Still on his feet, down at the 33-yard line. Joe Nash, the nose tackle, chased the play, only a gain of 5, and Vince Abbott will come in and attempt a field goal and a long one.
Nash did a great job there of trailing and seeing what was happening and staying with the play. Most defensive linemen aren't that quick to be able to stay with that, particularly nose tackles. He stayed with it. Of course, he's not a real heavy man, 6'2", 257. He's fairly quick, and he managed to get across there and make the difference.
50-yard field goal attempt for Vince Abbott to try and tie the game. His longest this year is 48. On its way. No good.
Berrigan was off to the right, just a shade.
So Vince Abbott goes to 6 for 9 on the season, and San Diego cannot tie the game up. And again, Larry, I think you'd have to say that those penalties killed them on that drive.
It's getting to be a ritual, San Diego.
Here's the field goal attempt right now out of the hold of Moisienko. On its way and headed towards that upright right there. There you see it coming down.
A little right and a little short.
1st and 10 for Seattle, still holding on to a 3-0 lead as Kurt Warner outside 35 out to the 39-yard line. Gil Bird chases him down along with Jeff Dale. And a good run by Warner as he changed directions on the play. He ends up with 6 yards. Next Sunday, be sure to join NBC Sports for more exciting football action beginning at 12:30 Eastern with NFL Live. Then the two teams with the best record in the AFC highlight our regional coverage when the Bengals, who started today at 7-1, battled the Steelers, and the Bills, who had the same mark through the first half of the season, battled the Seahawks. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. 7-yard gain for Warner. Second down at 3. John L. Williams out to the 40-yard line and might get to the 41. Billy Ray Smith in on the tackle, along with the nose tackle, Mike Charles. 3 minutes and 58 seconds remaining in the first half as John L. Williams goes back into the Seattle huddle after carrying. It will be third down and short. Third and less than 1.
And if that was me in there at fullback, I would just as soon go the other way than Billy Ray Smith's way. I got to tell you, that guy will come up and hit. He's sort of a motivational guy by demonstration. He doesn't hesitate to come up and hit. It's almost as though he likes it. I think that's a tradition in his family.
Third down, less than 1. Agee comes in motion. They're going to try and go wide on third down and less than 1. And John L. Williams will get the first down out over the 45 to the 47-yard line. Gary Plummer, number 50, the linebacker for San Diego, chases him out along with Vency Glenn.
The real key block on this was number 75, Mike Wilson, the right tackle, managed to tie up Billy Ray Smith. You'll see it on the right side of your screen. Right there, the ball carrier passed him. That was the rookie Mike Wilson tying up Billy Ray Smith. Made the difference for the ball carrier. You're going to see him coming across your screen to the left here. And the big man gets a hit on him and gets a little sticky with him, frankly.
We had some motion in the backfield. Warner took off a half count early as Brian Blades makes the catch and is driven out of bounds by Billy Ray Smith and Sam Seal. We have a couple of flags down, but Kurt Warner definitely took off a little bit early in the backfield. Billy Ray Smith back out. Red Cashin just did give the sign that it was illegal motion against Seattle. But both teams have cut down their progress by flags with penalties. We'll talk it over with Billy Ray Smith. Billy Ray saying, Red, what would you do on this play? Would you accept this penalty?
Illegal motion on the offense. 2 men moving at the snap. Still first down.
Billy's saying to Ray, how about keeping an eye on number 75, Mike Wilson? He's hanging on to me after the block. That's what he was saying to him.
Billy Ray Smith, injured at the start of the season, now playing himself back into shape. So important in that San Diego defense. It is first down at 15. Out over the 40-yard line. John L. Williams. Boy, not much of a hole there, but he turns it into a small gain out over the 45 to the 46-yard line. Plummer is in on the tackle for the Chargers. Billy Ray Smith was there along with Dale, so they had a lot of jerseys there.
Well, the whole defensive gang was there waiting on him, but the thing you got to like about Williams is when he recognizes that fact, he plants, turns it upfield, and hits whatever he has to hit to get whatever yardage he can.
Coming up to the 2-minute mark remaining here in the first half, and Seattle will not get this play off. 2 minutes to go in the first half. Steve Largent, 160 games in a row with a catch, hasn't caught a pass so far, and we're late here in the first half with Seattle leading 3-0.
Playing in the days when offensive players receive most of the attention, this stalwart linebacker personally moved fan attention to the defensive side of the ball. Widely recognized as the catalyst of the Giants' defense in the late 50s and early 60s. Who was changed the way defensive football is played, and as a result deserves status.
We talked at the top of the game that both teams going with new quarterbacks and that they are struggling offensively, and the quarterbacks are struggling today.
Certainly are. The question is here, does Kelly Stauffer go to the 2-minute offense right away, or does he lay back, using up about a minute of that clock, and then judging on his field position, try to run the rush offense?
2 minutes to go, first half, second down and 12. Seattle leads 3-0. Little play action fake to Warner, and the pass, Largent catches, fumbles, loose ball, and let's see if they'll give it to San Diego. Largent made the catch. Blades came back and appears to have recovered the football for Seattle. And so it's a catch by Largent, but a recovery by the Seahawks. Here's Largent on the catch.
See, he's run a great pattern on Seal. He literally twisted him around backwards. It appeared that he made the catch and then got knocked out of bounds. I don't know what the refs are conferring about.
Hardy's got the ball right there. There's the hit. And the ball loose on the turf. Then it was batted around, and the rookie Brian Blades came up with the recovery, and Largent's streak goes on now at 161. Third down, though, and 2 for Seattle. Big rush from the outside. And the catch by John L. Williams. Down the sideline, inside the San Diego 30 at the 26-yard line. A first down for the Seahawks. 19-yard pass play to John L. Williams.
Well, on Knox coach teams, they're famous for this. They love to get their running back ISO'd one-on-one with the linebacker. Here they do it. They got Williams one-on-one with Billy Ray. Billy Ray can cover him for a while, but not that long. That was a nicely placed ball by Stauffer.
I would not want to have to tackle him when he's moving forward.
He's a load.
John L. Williams has had a good first half. Largent in motion on first down. This is Warner. And he reads right, then read back up towards the middle and gets inside the 25-yard line. The crowd wants passing instead of running here. And Seattle is going to be forced to use a timeout with 1:02 to go in the first half. The Seahawks lead 3-0, trying to punch it in for some more. With 1:02 remaining here in the first half, Seattle leads on a 26-yard field goal by Norm Johnson. Chuck Knox is sending out the plays to his rookie quarterback, Kelly Stauffer. As the Seahawks now have 1 timeout remaining. Al Saunders is talking it over with his defensive coaches as Seattle has the ball deep in San Diego territory at the 23-yard line, and it will be 2nd down and 8 with 1:02 left here in the half. And Stauffer will go from the shotgun with John L. Williams on his left. 3 wide receivers spread out. 2nd and 8 into the end zone for Blades. Incomplete. And for the 2nd time today, Seattle has one in the end zone, but they cannot catch it actually in the end zone. They're on the outside of it.
You're going to see Blades get behind him. Straight down, just a straight fly pattern. Just on the edge, very edge of the out of bounds. Whoa. Again, a very close call.
You can always tell when the replay is being shown here because the crowd gets very quiet. Then the replay is shown. Then you have your reaction. Now it is 3rd down and 8. The ball is at the 23-yard line. A very close call on the edge of that end zone against the rookie Brian Blades of Seattle. Here's Stauffer on 3rd and 8. He's going back for Blades. Touchdown!
See Blades set Seal to the outside, looking outside at him, takes it, and then he just takes it inside when he sees Seal plant to make the turn. The ball was right there. It was a perfectly thrown ball by Kelly Stauffer.
A 23-yard touchdown pass. Brian Blades makes the catch. Beautifully thrown. A rookie connection there. Stauffer to Blades, and Norm Johnson now to attempt the extra point. 52 seconds remaining here in the first half. Kick is right down the middle and good. Out of the hold of Jeff Kent. What a beautifully thrown ball, son.
Well, that was a good pattern by Blades, too. You don't expect that well of disciplined pattern by a rookie like that. He's actually got Sam Seal believing that he was going to go outside to that post pattern out to the corner. The minute Seals rocked back on his heels, Blades took it underneath, and the great thing is it timed up with Kelly Stauffer. Stauffer saw what happened and went for it, made the pitch exactly where he had to throw it.
Kelly Stauffer now 7 for 15. Numbers go up, but more importantly, so does the score as they now lead by a count of 10-0 over San Diego. And San Diego not scoring last week in that entire game against Indianapolis, and now getting dangerously close to being shut out here through the first half in the Kingdome. The longer that goes on, the tougher it becomes to score.
Absolutely. He had a shot of Stauffer there a minute ago. He just doesn't look like a rookie to me. He looks like a guy about 35 that's been around for a while for some reason.
Probably been a long rookie season for him.
Well, you know what? One of the assistant coaches, Ralph Hawkins, said something to me. He's a defensive backfield coach. As you look at Kelly on the screen there, mentioned the fact that when Ralph had been down with the Redskins, he worked a lot with Billy Kilmer, and he kind of compared Kelly to Billy Kilmer. And I said, you know, in what regard? He said, well, he's a take-charge guy, but also he's a tough guy. In an earlier game this season, he had his nose broken, didn't come out of the game, went right into the huddle with the blood and the entire thing, which kind of revved up his offensive lineman. You know, anytime your offensive linemen see a little blood on a skilled player, they think they're in a better game that way. They like that.
And they prefer the blood to be of their own, right? Here's the scoring drive. 9 plays, 68 yards, and a strike from Stauffer to Blades. 10-0 Seattle. Johnson kicks it away. Anthony Miller on a short kick will take it at his 12. Well, he's a track star out of Tennessee, and you can see why, because if he gets a bit of sunshine, he'll blow it right up the middle like he did there out to the 32-yard line. A 20-yard return by Miller. And we'll see what Mark Malone can do with 46 seconds remaining here in the first half, and his team down by 10.
Jenkins put quite a hit on Miller at the end of that play. I think it twisted Miller's back a little bit. He was holding his waist, his back area, like he wasn't quite right yet. I like Malone to get down on one knee like that in the huddle. I used to love quarterbacks who get down and talk like that.
Do they ever draw a play out there?
Well, you can't draw on this stuff. It's artificial surface. You have to cut the end of your finger off to draw on it.
2 timeouts left for San Diego with 46 remaining in the half. And the catch by Darren Flutie, and a good move to get away from a tackle out to the 41-yard line. He got away from Vernon Dean after he made the catch and got a couple of extra yards. 9-yard gain out to the 41, but the clock remains running and now stops as San Diego must use a timeout.
You can see Green's been putting a lot of pressure on. Now he's getting double attention from 2 offensive linemen. They plan to keep him out of there. That's the problem when you get one guy like that that's really applying a lot of pressure and the other ones aren't. Sometimes they'll pull another offensive lineman off and double up on him.
Well, the Seagulls have a little bit more to dance about here at the end of the first half after that Stauffer touchdown pass to Brian Blades. Indeed, that would be the future of this Seattle Seahawks team, with the young quarterback throwing to the young receiver. 10-0 Seahawks lead. Remember, they came into the game at 4-4, tied for first place in the AFC Western Division. Usually in the past, a division that had great teams with explosive offenses.
Absolutely.
Not this year, right?
Well, you know, years ago when the Raiders, the Chiefs were there, had great ball control. Well, the Raiders had great ball control. The Oakland Raiders had the great passing game with all the great quarterbacks they had. But you always look for the wild card team to come out of the West because they had such a superb first place team.
Not this year. 37 seconds remaining in the half. 2nd down and 1. Oh, a lot of time for Malone. He throws, and Quinn Early got nailed early by Melvin Jenkins, and a flag goes on Jenkins. That will be interference. As indeed, Jenkins was very early on early. Oh, that was terrible. That was terrible, wasn't it?
I'll tell you what, Malone had a pretty heavy hit right after that. It looked like it was Jacob Green that put the hit on him just after he released it.
Number 23
right
on
there.
the defense. First down.
You can see the interference there at the tail end of it. But I'm surprised that Green didn't get called for unnecessary roughness on Mark Malone. You'll see him come around from behind here. Malone's released here. 1-2, wraps around the head.
Back to live action. There's a flag down as Lionel James catches the pass out of the backfield and scoots inside the 40 down to the 37-yard line where Tony Woods makes the tackle, but we'll check out the flag as it was down right at the snap. Red Cashin. And another penalty against San Diego.
These penalties are killing San Diego. This isn't just the first game it's happened to them in either. This has been going on for some time.
Illegal formation. Number 61 on the offense, not on the line, still first down.
That was Ken Dallafor, who, remember, picked up a fumble and rushed it 2 yards for a first down. Maybe he wanted to get involved in this play again, Larry.
Well, he was backing off the line so he could be eligible, I guess.
25 seconds remaining.
He's got to scoot up on that line. He's back again.
1st and 15. And it's complete to Lionel James, trying to get out of bounds. Oh, boy, did he take the punishment there as the Seahawks came flying in. Melvin Jenkins was in there along with Paul Moyer, and they drilled him. Although it's James being the first one up. 5-yard gain as Lionel James out of Auburn comes back to the huddle.
I understand that he was at Auburn the same time Bo Jackson was, and I understand that he used to be a blocking back on certain occasions for Bo Jackson.
Over to the sideline now. 18 seconds left here in the first half. Quinn Early getting lined up properly. Second down and 10. Boy, the Chargers look to be in disarray right now on this play, but they'll get it off. On second down, here's Malone. Firing for Bernstein, and it hit him right in the numbers at the 20-yard line, and he cannot hang on. As Patrick Hunter comes over and puts the hit on Bernstein, but I believe he should have made this catch.
Well, he had. The ball was right there. Can't argue with Malone's throw at all. You can see the three wideouts over here. He just turns under. Well, it's right in the hands. It's a drop ball. Last week they had 9 drop balls, so it's nothing that Malone hasn't seen before.
Third down and 10 with 12 seconds remaining here in the first half. What's he going to do? He wants to throw it. This could be picked off and in by Paul Moyer. I think we had a lineman downfield after the scramble by Malone. I do not believe Malone was over the line of scrimmage, but Moyer intercepts and brings it out to the 16.
Number 66. He was over the line.
All right, what are they going to do? Maybe he was over the line of scrimmage. You heard one official, I believe, come in and say, I'll tell you what, he was over the line of scrimmage. But they also had a lineman downfield on the scramble.
Quarterback was beyond the line when he threw the ball. The interception counts. First down.
But that's the end of the half. And they'll count the interception for Paul Moyer. Mark Malone and the San Diego Chargers walk to the San Diego locker room, still not being able to score. They trail now 10-0 over Seattle at the end of the first half here at the Kingdome, as the difference in the game, turnover early turns into a 26-yard field goal by Norm Johnson, and then the touchdown pass from Kelly Stauffer to Brian Blades. NFL Live halftime at the Kingdome. Seattle with a 10-0 lead over San Diego. The Chargers have got to find some offense as we go back to New York now for our halftime live activities, and we'll return with the second half of today's game.
We welcome those of you watching the games from either the Coliseum or the Kingdome. Bob Costas along with Gail Gardner and Ahmad Rashad. Let's get you caught up on what's happening elsewhere. You recall that last December, Minnesota went into Candlestick and won a big playoff game against the 49ers, upsetting them in the process. Well, the Vikings at halftime in this one lead 7-3, and Steve Young, who's playing instead of Joe Montana, is just 4 for 11 for 40 yards in the first half for the 49ers. Both clubs are 5-3. The Vikings lead it 7-3. In the game some of you are watching, Seattle in front of San Diego 10-0, halftime at the Kingdome. Here's the only touchdown. Kelly Stauffer will throw 23 yards out of the shotgun to Brian Blades. Nice catch. He spins in. 10-0 in favor of the Seahawks over the Chargers. The Lions, who were pasted at the Meadowlands by the Giants 2 weeks ago, 30-10, have the lead at the half at home against the Giants, 7-3. New York is 5-3. The Lions 2-6. The game's only touchdown, a 15-yard pass from Rusty Hilger to Jeff Chadwick for the Lions. The Raiders and Kansas City. Some of you saw this touchdown play early as Bo Jackson, who carried only twice last week before being hurt against New Orleans, has been healthy today, and here he goes, breaking through 22 yards in the first quarter for the touchdown. That made it 7-0 after a Paul Palmer 4-yard scoring run tied it for Kansas City. Marcus Allen capped a long Raider drive with a 1-yard scoring plunge of his own. 14-7. The Raiders lead the Chiefs. Now, finals earlier today. The Browns beat Cincinnati in a game they absolutely had to have, 23-16. On the pregame show, Ahmad Rashad had a preview of that game, and as we said at that time, if they had lost it, the best they could have hoped for was a wild card. Now they move to within 1 of Cincy in the AFC Central.
That's right, Bob. You hit it right on the head when you said it was a game that they had to have, and they went right out and got it. We all thought it was going to be a big blowout with Boomer Esiason and Bernie Kosar throwing for a lot of touchdowns, but I think you got to tip your hat add to that Cleveland Browns defense. They shut down a strong Cincinnati team, and even though they got a tough schedule the rest of the way, they took a giant step today towards the playoffs.
Special teams, big key today for the Browns on a day when Kosar did not throw for a touchdown. Herman Fontenot was the star. He ran a kickoff back 84 yards, didn't score, but it set up a short run by Tim Manoa for a score. And then when Frank Minifield blocked a Bengal punt, who was there to fall on it for the touch? Herman Fontenot.
Good teams. Every week somebody you never heard of comes in and makes a big play and ends up keeping them winning.
Not too many big plays today at the Superdome in New Orleans, but the Rams pecked away, and on 4 field goals by Mike Lansford, they beat the Saints, ended New Orleans' 7-game winning streak. Both clubs are now 7-2, 12-10, the final score at the Superdome. The Rams beat the Saints on their home turf. The Patriots over the Bears, 30-7. Check this Doug Flutie stat. He actually completes, not throws, but he just completed 6 passes, and 4 of them went for touchdowns. This was the first play from scrimmage on the day. Irving Fryer makes the catch, splits 2 defenders. In he goes for the 80-yard catch and run. Flutie threw, as I said, for 4 touchdowns, 1 to Stanley Morgan for 26 yards, that 80-yarder to Fryer, and 2 short tosses to the tight end, Lynn Dawson. Just 6 completions. Talk about making the most of what you're able to get. 4 of them for touchdowns, and he burns his former teammates.
You bet. First visit ever for the Bears to New England. Jim McMahon hurt early in the game. He was out, so a number of Bears quarterbacks played, and if you looked at it objectively, you would think, aha, they didn't have McMahon, and so that's why the Patriots won the game. But in fact, it was how well the Patriots did against the Bears defense that I think really was the significant point in this game. Bears defense top-rated in the league, top-rated against the rush, and it was the Patriots scored 30 points today. Bears had allowed only 32 the last 5 games that they played. John Stevens, 134 yards rushing last week, 124 yards rushing this week against the Bears defense, and the first time they had a 100-yard rusher against the Bears in 30 games, so pretty significant.
So the Bears, who had been so impressive, especially defensively on Monday night against San Francisco, lose today in Foxborough. The record falls to 7-2. Buffalo is now 8-1. They sacked Green Bay quarterback 6 times. Rookie Thurman Thomas rushed for 116 yards. And in Buffalo, the Bills beat the Pack 28-0. The Jets over Pittsburgh 24-20. The rookie out of Missouri, Eric McMillan, the son of the great offensive lineman Ernie McMillan, intercepted his 7th pass. He leads the National Football League in that category. A blocked punt in the 4th quarter by the Jets. The 5th time that Pittsburgh has had a punt block this season proved to be the key play as the Jets won by 4. Phoenix got a touchdown in the last minute. Earl Farrell scored it at Dallas. The Cardinals beat the Cowboys 16-10. Miami over Tampa Bay. The game was scoreless at the half. Marino threw for 2 touchdowns in the 3rd quarter. Joe Ferguson, playing for the injured Vinny Testaverde, threw for 2 in the 4th. So the difference was a Tony Franklin field goal of 31 yards, and Miami wins it 17-14. And Atlanta, which came that close to beating the Giants at home a week ago before succumbing in the waning moments, did win at Philadelphia today 27-24. Now stay with us. Frank DeFord joins us with his halftime feature right after this from your local.